Hello, welcome to another Friday live art demo. I am back. If you missed me, it's Ollie. So I'm here to do the intro again today. So it's a rainy day, so if you don't feel like coming into Studio Central to join a workshop, then you can join us here and follow along online with us. But before we start, I'm not going to introduce. We're going to have Megan introduce the artist of this beautiful pink tiger, and I'm going to show you a couple other pieces as well by her. So this is Yvette, one of our newest artists from the recent graduate group.
Our newest alumni, part of our family now. Yvette Rochon, she is amazing. She's seriously one of the sweetest souls that I know in the world. Oh my gosh, amazing. So Yvette, as you can see her amazing work there, was born in Pinawa in 1975. She started drawing and writing stories in her early childhood. Encouraged by her artist sister, she returned to art in her 20s, producing abstract pieces in watercolor and acrylics. As an artist model for 10 years, she came in contact with a variety of different artists, and she studied voice at Canadian Mennonite University and the Manitoba Conservatory, where she sang in choirs and recitals, winning medals in Winnipeg as well as Steinbach. Since 2000, she has acted in community theater, docudramas, company shorts, and also at our wonderful Fringe Festival. Yvette's themes reflect a playful side. She portrays stuffed tigers, as you saw earlier, and other animals, staging theater weddings for them. She has a special love for an identification with Snoopy, whom she uses as her nickname. Funny thing, it was actually Snoopy's birthday the other day, and we might actually be making some art in recognition of this over at Studio Central a little bit later. Her multimedia sculpture with fantasy erasers and wires is meant to juxtapose a retro look with the side panel of a desktop computer into which they are crammed. Yvette's vibrant abstracts, some of which are drawn atop previous work on found panels, use a variety of techniques that she calls fun with paint. She melts theme with medium in the collage piece with an ad for apple line decorated with apple block prints. She displays some three-dimensional painted paper masks, some of which she calls celebratory and others more pensive. Artbeat has been a joy like magic, says Yvette. I love sharing my art. Having a studio space has inspired me to be more productive, and this will continue. If you know anything about Yvette, if you've ever met her, you will see that she is a world of colors, ideas, empathy, and just pure grace. I just adore her. So I hope you enjoyed taking a sneak peek at some
look
of her
a little
work.
more of her art, some of her abstracts, and here's a pomegranate, which I think is just so fun and playful.
And we have the monoprint right here. So this was the line of cut, and it's called Other Birds in Paradise.
Oh my goodness. So, now that we've introduced you to a new artist, we are gonna go straight into our live art demo. We have some paint pouring. And
Yeah, so what we're doing today, I brought several paint pouring. These are not new paints. I tried them at home and they work. I cannot tell everyone is able to work with them perfectly, so I just show my own way, which is very simple, of working with these paints, but also they can collaborate with some acrylic paint, which is not a pour paint, on rocks. And I brought rocks here. I borrowed those from Studio Central. Thank you for whoever donated them. We will enjoy them today. And also I have paint markers. So the idea for today is a little bit of experience for someone who haven't tried this paint. And then after it's done, so this, it does not matter if it's painted or pour painted. Pour paint just needs to be, it just takes way more time to dry until we can get to the next step. So we would not be showing that step on the live. But the main idea is just to paint or pour paint and then add paint markers. And I brought this for, so this is a Posca, Uniposca, size 7.7, and I buy them in packs of 3 from Amazon, or you can buy them from Michael's or Artist Emporium, where they're opened and ready for you to use. So something like this can be done, something simple, just simple paint, and then this is a very fine marker which allows you to make smaller lines. So that's an example of dots and lines on the rock. So usually we do recommend dots and lines on rocks rather than the image you are used to have, unless the rock is very big and you can fit it in. It's not perfect yet, it's not polished completely, but this is another example of what can be done.
That's amazing.
So this one, I would say I would need to go through all the lines to make them nicer, to add a layer, to even up the letters. So all that work can be done today. And also I have an image of the dragonfly, which can be painted with just one color. Or you can use different colors if you can. So I printed out 3, and it doesn't have to be that. So we would have 2 rocks. One rock would be pour painted and one rock would be just painted. Or what we can do is to draw with paint markers and just have something going on around without paint at all. So we'll see how that goes with us. I would pre-paint the rock and let it dry a little bit, but just for the live, just because we don't have that time, I would draw something like this and then make an outline after that. And then for anyone else, it could be more time because the photographs after today's live would be posted, but it can take some more time until the paint dries and everything's ready. All right, so the pour paint is actually, it accumulated here. And Megan, do you like doing that? Unsticking things?
I can do that if you like, if you want to pass me things that need
Yes,
help,
please.
I can make those.
Because I try to do things and I literally did not have time for everything. So some of them are good already. So here's the dowel I used. Okay. So I will be showing how to start a paint marker again, because not everyone remembers, especially after yesterday's experience. We had kids painting, so sometimes it's hard to remember. So we shake, 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 press, 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 shake, 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 press, press, press until it starts coming out. If you want to avoid this process, go to Artist Emporium and they usually do it for you. So when you buy a paint marker, it's already started and you don't have to go through all that shaking. And when you open a pack of new paint markers, that can take some time, and some of the kinds can take longer than other ones. Yeah, so I will show it. I brought parchment paper. I hope they don't stick to parchment paper. If they do, we'll have to get rid of it.
They shouldn't, because parchment paper is usually pretty good for.
Okay, so you see it can take way longer, so patience. Yes, let's do that. And then what I want to do with rocks, anywhere, even if they're washed one time, even if they're Like if you wash them at home, that's good. But if they are stored somewhere or are out of the bag,
It's
I
ready
would
immediately.
prefer wiping them again. Also, I did the whole job.
That's the whole thing.
All right, so it's good to wipe them still. And then the smoothest ones we would choose for drawing. So I would take, I guess I can take this one, and that works for me. This one is kind of good too. Or I could pick this one, this smoother too. It could be a small one. And okay, so maybe I'll take the small one. I don't know, hard to choose. They all look paintable.
I would like a small one.
You want a small one like this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so just for the pour, we are taking the ones that have more indents and imperfections.
Maybe I'll take this one.
So I would say let's pick these kinds for the pour. So I'll take this one. Show how that goes, and then all the rest would go for painting. All right, so I would take parchment paper and see if that works. That should. All right. So what I usually do, I use brush that is a long kind myself, but if you can do it with a different brush, that's okay. But I would recommend trying this and seeing if that works for you anyhow. So I have 3 brushes like this. No, I have 3. Do you have one more? Yeah, I have 4. Enough for everyone. So that's what we're going to try first.
Thank you.
So we put a rock on this brown paper. I don't want too much paint to go on this paper because we're going. Oh, that's the phone. I'm looking in the wrong direction. So anyway, I'll get the 4 paints. So the same thing can be done on a dark rock, but on a dark rock it can be still visible a little bit, so that depends on how you do it. So you can base coat rocks before you pour them. So what we're doing, we're trying to for yourself. So basically, these are the colors we have. They all say acrylic pouring paint, and they were from Dollar Tree, I believe. So I can just pour a little tiny bit here and there. So this is the simplest way of doing that. Just have little tiny things on top. Oh, well, how I like wearing new clothes for race. And if you ever see me in my painting clothes with paints all over, I'm painting.
That's how you know you're an artist.
And we could also use neon paints, which are available in Dollarama and Dollar Tree. We could mix it with paints that are just acrylic paints. So we could always take, this is a neon too. So it doesn't have to be as many colors. I'm just mixing them here. There is this 2 blue, which kind of works in a fun way. You can try it. And then I just take this brush and spread it. But I spread it the way they do not really. So the rock is covered, so it's a thick layer of paint. And then I got the paper towel right near, so if I need, I can always take paper towel and use it for wiping the brush and go with fresh. So just a very simple pour. And here, I don't want to go with this paint orange, so I take some yellow and I mix it in. So it's basically just spreading and adding more. So I want to add some blue. So it's kind of poor, but you still spread it with a brush. And it's not taking too much paint this way. Rather than just pouring it and leaving it the way it is. And then I could always add colors. Okay, so I want to add like more green on this side, and then I want to add some white. So what I do is just simple spreading right now. So it does not work as just a pour. It's a little bit of painting, but it's random. It's very random. So if you want to paint on something like that, or draw with a paint marker, it would be the next day, not the same day. Even I used as little paint as I could. So basically something like this shows up. And if I want to take something that I don't like, I just take it out.
It's happening all of them.
So just trying the whole collection we have here and seeing what you want to use, what you don't want to use. It's basically all colors together. And this is what I can get right here. So we do not forget that I want to go underneath and paint some areas that are not painted underneath, or anyone can do it after, but I prefer doing it right away with the paint we have here. And if I don't like it, or I want to add more, I can always add more. So I can get this to glue again and make a couple of drops and spread it out.
I like how mine is.
So it's very random.
Oh. Looks like the jam or something.
I keep messing with the camera, but I'm gonna move it one more time so we can take a peek at everyone's rocks. Yours is nice and colorful. Kind of looks like a planet.
I think mine looks like some kind of stone, like a geode, and it's like cracked here.
Absolutely.
Love the contrast between the light and the.
They have
Like
these nice blue. Love the subtlety of the colors.
So whatever you get, just colors. And I want to add some yellow. I'll add some yellow. And definitely, if you want to add somewhere else, not on top, we always have the trays. So you can use trays if you want to add color in other way. So here we have the tray. I take a little bit of it and we just add to the areas we want to add it. Okay, so you can get different results with it, but this brush gives a very good option to not spread it too much. And I just like how these brushes cooperate with the technique. And not everyone would like it maybe, but here's what we can reach with it. And then if I want to add more detail with a paint marker, it could be dots or tiny lines with paint markers we have here, but not for this rock, because this rock would dry for a long time, just because it's a thick layer of paints. Okay, so I would just leave it the way it is right now, and then anyone wants to use yellow?
I will. Probably.
So this is quite fun, and I believe this process is fun when you have cracked rocks you don't want to paint something detailed on. And I mean cracked, they're not cracked, they just have indents and
Might be difficult to do something detailed on there.
yeah. So for painting right away, definitely it's good to use a base coat color. So let's say I would pick this rock and I would base coat it with just a paint marker. Which one I want to use? I can use maybe a combination of greens it could be. Or it could be several different colors. Just to see that the dragonfly, I don't know, just because the image is black and white, it's hard to tell. So I would just go with different colors. And you know, I could always spread them with a brush too. And I could add paint. Same yellow paint as an example, and I could take a thicker brush or I could just go with tiny detail. So in this case I would take a thicker brush and just spread it out. And water, I need water. Oh. Splash! Alright, I'm a little bit messy today. Maybe not a little bit.
I just spilled so much paint. I don't think I'm on the camera. But thank goodness.
So this is what we can do for the layer that we don't want to dry for a long time. And then we could always add more detail around it. So we don't have to focus on too much drying. No one wants to look how your rock dries until you actually can paint on it. And paint marker dots or something can go around. Okay. So these are the simplest techniques I showed, but they can be really helpful to someone who, what's that?
Can I throw another rock?
Yes. So which one do you want?
Surprise me.
Surprise.
I'm good with any of them.
Surprise. How about this one?
Sure, it's funky.
It's the half of a shark or whatever.
And we're doing the paint markers for this one.
So for this one, it's paint markers, and if you want the brushes are here. So you can mix it with paint. So you can have all this. Okay, so I know that this is not the best because you can see through some areas. So that could be done manually afterwards. And then for the dragonfly, I would say we can wait 5 minutes until I show that the lettering can be difficult sometimes. So if you want to add lettering, what I would use would be, if it's dark, if it's on dark surface, that would be this Posca paint marker. And then it can be done directly with a different color, but I would prefer just white. And if I want pink, let's say you need to have the paint marker like a fine one, and if you have a little tiny bit of a thicker one, that won't work for this size. So I would say
Like paint marker on there, and then because it's really dry. You can
yeah,
use
well,
like
that
wet.
is really dry. It's so thin.
Uh,
and thick. I use the
So-
brush like this first.
With the paint,
Yeah.
with this? Oh, you can do it with that
So
stuff?
you can just spread it out with water until it's not dry completely, and then use paints.
Try and see how it goes.
They dry very quickly, so I use water just because I want it quicker. But Posca, when you apply it and spread it right away, you don't have to have water, just because it's a quicker process for drying. So if you want to use paint with it,
The regular paint?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Posca and it doesn't.
Yeah, so what I do, I just put several like good strokes with Posca, add some paint and mix them together so that it kind of not go over but go with spots here and there, so it's not too even, and you can still see through the rock, but I'm going to add more detail on top of that when it's dry. And then when the rock is painted, what you can do, you can always apply more paint on it. And it could be a paint marker. So as an example, I can take paint markers that are colorful, like yellows and blues and pinks, and just add dots here and there. They don't have to be dots, they can be like lines. And then just mix different colors together. I mean, not mix, but place them one near another. And then with the bottom, I usually prefer having an open rock underneath and just sign it. But if someone really wants to, you can paint the bottom with a different color. It can be black, it can be just anything. And I usually do not paint rocks on both sides. So here I'm just doing something very simple. I'm just adding to it. And direction of the line, thickness of it matters. Definitely. So if someone does not like it watery, you can go on the paper until it actually works really well and bright. Again, time and patience I don't have. I was working on my garden yesterday and I was going to resin the surface, but the rain got in the way. Yeah, so I need to wait until like good weather shows up finally and I can. Okay, so this is just the base and then can be done more evenly, definitely. Paint marker. Okay. But anyway, I just need to fix the lettering and that would be it.
I love it. It looks like sprinkles in the best way.
Alrighty. So, using the paint marker, I will pass this around. You can use these ones, or you can use the white. But again, I would ask to not use it on a rock that is not. So maybe you want to take another rock and.
I was having some difficulty because when I with my hands, I can't really draw that much with that. So
Okay, so we'll just stop on painting.
I'll watch you guys for a little bit and let these dry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not very good at getting out of control, so my paint pouring has turned into just painting.
Right. That was sort of what I ended up having to kind of do too. It's like, well.
Okay, so I'm going to work on the dragonfly, and do you want to work on it, or?
Sure. I can after it starts a little fun.
Okay, that's for you. So what my plan was just to work with white, and then I could color it, or I could just leave it plain white. And it's really hard for me to see. Well, I would simplify it because I cannot really see well on the image I have on the size.
A quarter of the size of the big, no, not a quarter, like.
Well, my intention was to not make it too detailed anyway, because that's what I was going for, just white outline. So I did not plan to make it into a detailed drawing anyway. Say that kind of works for the purpose.
It's nice just to have like an image to like
Not work too long.
If it's too big, then it wouldn't work for the purpose. It's not too raw.
when it gets quiet, you know, we're focused in.
Yeah, I don't like when this happens, but it's really hard for me to talk while I'm focusing.
Yeah, whenever I lead the lives, it's like my brain isn't on the art, my brain isn't on the talking. It's nowhere. I just ramble on and on and on.
It's really hard to actually focus on any idea, so I leave it for art that is less idea oriented.
Yeah. Anyone who can focus and talk, talk intentionally at the same time.
The skill.
Very impressive.
It's focus. It's a lot of focus. And you can get really, you know, I come back home and my head is empty sometimes. Well, sometimes it happens too often lately, but yeah, I cannot come up with any ideas, or maybe just because it's the tiredness, and I don't know. Just a part of my mental health condition. Getting more tired than many others. other people and I don't want to talk or go out and I just rest. It's not that I'm in a bad mood, I'm just recharging.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. Having to like recharge
is important.
Yeah, it kind of goes in the way because I want to be normal. Like, let's say I want what other people want, like going out and shopping and everything and getting all the joy of life. I just, for many years, I was not able to, like, even, it doesn't mean I was not going out. I was, but I do not enjoy it as much as now.
I read something recently that said it's more important to like look for contentedness than happiness, because when you're at peace it doesn't necessarily go away. There's no like fading of it. Which is like, it's not bad to be happy, but you don't need to be chasing that all the time.
See, I see it kind of in a different way, I guess, than a lot of people, because I think, from when we're very little, people always say, oh, what would you do if you won the lottery? People are constantly asking questions of children on what they want their lives to look like. What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you dream of? What are your hopes and goals? And how do you want to contribute to the world? And we build our lives based on a notion of what is sort of allowable and what is accepted, what is appreciated of us. But when you get back down to like the core of like, what would you do with your life if you won the lottery? I always used to say I would spend my days volunteering, and I always wanted to be like, I wanted to have a family, and I don't have that right now, but when I got my third rare diagnosis, I said, that's winning the lottery. I'm gonna go do what I said I always wanted to do. And I'm now living the closest life to what I always dreamed of, because I made the choice to do what I always wanted. And I think if we step back and realize that sometimes the things that we're fighting for, if it's not what makes us, like you said, content or happy or safe, then why not take a chance and do what really, sets your soul on fire, or just, at least brings you peace. Or not even at least, but brings you peace. Because it's not an at least, that's an end goal right there, that's a life goal. But why not?
So yeah, for myself, I know that when you go through a period of certain mental health conditions, you cannot experience joy. Like, you can have joyful experiences, but you cannot focus on it anyhow. You don't feel it. It doesn't mean it's not there, just that you are disconnected from your own feeling of it. And it's really hard because you feel like you're pushing yourself when it's actually not true. It's actually what you love doing, but you have to actually go through really hard times starting yourself up to function. So yeah, and for myself it was for many years already that I need to, sometimes it's half day until I actually can get to doing something. Yeah, and then going out, it was always enjoyable for me to go out, and what we're doing, we're working full time or not full time, we're going out on weekends, every weekend, friends, and going to bed late and we're okay the next day. I'm not saying it's the age, it is the age partially, right? But it's also the mental health condition that gives it this, I need to start up, like, this process takes a long time and a big part of my day still. I just get tired more quickly. But when I come back home and I just feel like, what can I do? Sometimes I have more energy, sometimes I just go to bed, then I wake up and I can do something else. So on a weekend, some Saturdays I just.
That's entirely fair and valid. You know, I think it takes for somebody that has either mental or physical illness to achieve the things that are thought of as commonplace or day-to-day activities. Getting up, taking a shower, getting dressed, making breakfast, getting yourself, and if you have family, if you have children, out the door, that's huge. It takes so much energy and so much power that, like, you know, if you have an emotional barrier, this is part of why I feel like I might be like neurodivergent or have ADHD or have, you know, like I feel like I'm somewhere in that realm of, you know, a lot of different things. And one of the things that they say is very, very common for people with these, you know, variances is that you take a shower and then you're just like stuck for, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Everything else, you're just like literally just there. And I think it's like sensory overload in some ways, or sensory, like you're trying to like avoid the sensory overload, or I don't know exactly, but you know,
it's very individual.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So I am quite sure I did not have like a lot of experiences other people could have.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any sensitivities, but just the main thing is just this, I have energy to do something. I'm so happy about that. I start doing it, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. And then the next day it's hard to wake up, but you know,
like
just
you hyper
catching.
focus. You hyper focus until you burn yourself out. And no, that's a valid thing. It's interesting.
I like to focus on whatever I need in the moment. So whether it's like if I get really into something and I don't want to turn myself away, maybe that's what I want right now.
Yeah.
Then later I'll deal with the consequences.
Right. And I think, you know, as a community, like we should, I feel like it's best if we focus on aligning ourselves with just a life and a community where there aren't consequences, or negative ones at least, for the things that we require that way. You know, I've been trying to align myself with spaces that empathize with wherever I'm at, or, you know, as an artist, you know, being up at 2 or 3 in the morning, it's not necessarily, you know, it doesn't always have to be this terrible thing. Like if you wake up the next day at, you know, 11:30 or noon or sometimes later, well, okay, who is it harming? I mean, if you have a 9-to-5 job, then yes, it can definitely put a strain on things and you might be super exhausted. But like one of the things that I actually did when I was in high school, my doctor, my family doctor at the time, told my parents that it was better for me to sleep when I got home from school. I would sleep until about 11 p.m. and then I'd wake up and I would be awake from 11 p.m. until I got home from school again. So I was awake at night. And it's okay to have a different schedule than, you know, maybe your peers or coworkers or whoever, if it works for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, again, when you feel that you can, like for me it was, oh, I feel I can, I do it. I feel I cannot, I don't. Yeah. If I can push a little tiny bit harder, as long as I already push myself to start anything. So it can be tricky, but it's easier with time. It's easier and easier and easier. And I was reducing the medication that was causing a lot of fatigue too.
Yeah.
Except for what I had already. So yeah, so that's what I have right now. It's a very simple. Very simple.
Love the contrast.
It's really incredible. Green to me, I think is such a dragonfly color. Like because my mom loves dragonflies and she loves like the turquoise and the green as well, like the chartreusey kind of color. So that just is perfect for me. In my eyes.
Alright, so that would be varnished. I can take it home and resin it. That's probably what I'm going for.
I love it, like from over here, it looks like stippling, and then when you look up really close, you can see like all those lines. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. So yeah, so that's quite a simple thing, comparably to what I can do when I focus more. Again, I do not choose tasks I need to focus on too much lately. So I will just not choose an image I need to focus on. So, okay, just let's go over what we have right now with close-ups.
Yeah.
And then we'll take photos of the finished products after. And
Yeah, so let's take a close up.
so again, this
We've
is
seen
mine.
yours, which are gorgeous.
And I have the pour.
It's beautiful. I've been working on my pours as well. I've never done this before, but
It's quite fun.
it's very fun. Again, I'm not very good at giving up control, so I'm like poking at it constantly. And then over here we have the beautiful blue rock, of course.
This is my pour painting one. I think it turned out pretty cool, and this is just my.
That looks good.
It looks like a forest.
That. It's
Yeah.
magic.
It's all a forest with a tiny little dragonfly.
How you did that so tiny is beyond me.
It's amazing.
And then
Mine is not like finished at all
yeah,
yet.
that's okay.
It's
Everyone
a start.
everyone has their own process.
Yes.
So right now we're just
I'm
blue,
going slow. Yes.
but I'm sure it'll turn into something beautiful. Okay. Thank you. I had dreams with this one of it like being more like this, but then the blue took over. so I had to try it, give it a second shot. Yeah, so we can take photos of these. Well, we'll keep working on. Then we'll take photos when they're done, and then we will see. We'll post them, of course. We're not just gonna take photos.
Well, I need to take care of several other things today, so whatever we can get in the time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we'll post them next week, depending on
Yeah.
what happens. But then we will see everyone next Friday for the next live. So we can't wait for that. Always the best part of the week.
Thank you so much for watching.